Let's go across to Barbados and say good morning to my colleague, Anthony Nelson from CBC Radio. Good morning to you, Tony. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Rennie. Greetings from Barbados. Hope you guys are having a good day in Trinidad.
We're having a fabulous one, and I trust that your weather across there is equally as good as we are. We are very hot in Trinidad and Tobago, but we've got cloudy conditions that's kind of battling with the heat to make it work for us. I hope your conditions there are good too.
Yeah, it's nice and hot here.
All right, well, it's nice and hot, but there is something there, which is the reason I'm reaching to you. Thank you for making the time to be with us in Brunch. I reached out to you today because of something that has not been good. A video has gone viral. There's a school fight where a female student attempted to flee her attackers before she was cornered, beaten, rendered unconscious, and left at the side of the road. Now, Barbados is a fairly conservative country, and the reaction to this is shocking, not just from Barbadians, but to the rest of the world. We here in Trinidad, for instance, Trinidad and Tobago, we've got issues with it, but this is Barbados is happening too. How long has this situation been getting out of hand?
Well, it's been out of hand for a while. There are so many things wrong with the scenario that you would have seen on social media. Not only was the situation of the beating of the girl the central line of focus here, but it was the level of disregard and no care shown by passers-by who were actually traveling by in their various vehicles and refused to stop and get out. And you know, bring a semblance of order to the children. And when the adults in the society fail to lead, you know, we do have a major problem. Look,
Yes.
Rennie, you and I know very well that because of the advent of social media and this whole concept of so many of the peripherals allowed in schools, the tablets and the cell phones, that things now are a lot more open to us. There are many more eyes available to us.
Yes.
There are lots of things that have been happening in the schools now for quite a while. One of the very interesting concepts of this particular event is the fact that this was a girl-on-girl type violent situation. There was one boy who was caught kicking the girl, but there was a young lady who was actually stamping the young girl on her head. Now, this could have gone to a different level, Rennie. Today, we could have had almost about 15 or 16 young people charged with murder because the girl could have died.
Yes.
She was stamped in her neck.
Yes.
Her neck, you know, she could have easily broken her neck or something. The big question comes back to, where did all this violence come from all of a sudden? It's not all of a sudden, Rennie. It's not all of a sudden at all. There are some things that should have been put in place a long time ago within the Caribbean, not only in Barbados, but within the entire Caribbean. And I go back to several little issues that I'm going to paint a picture for you very, very quickly. One, the delinquents of the parents to probably look after their charges. The new dispensation of parents, those parents who came out of the late 70s, early 80s into the 90s, it is considered that that's the worst generation of all time. When you talk to Interpol, when you talk to several police establishments across the Caribbean, and you ask them, where in the age group are you finding your most problems, they simply tell you between the people who were 38 to 49 to 55, and it takes you right back to the 80s. A lot of those people who came out of the 80s parenting into the 90s parenting have done a poor job. Ella Andel has a magnificent song called Missing Generation.
Yes.
I think every radio station in the Caribbean should hold on to that song and play that song on a daily basis. So that's one. That's where the parents have failed. But two, and a lot of people who are atheists and not religious may want to discount this. But you see, this whole advent of religion in your life, this little thing called what we like to call the fear of God. Look, you don't have to believe in it, Rennie, but if you can use it as a simple guide to guide you and your children to live in better lives, why not? What is wrong with your children adopting the Ten Commandments? Make them your commandments. Take them away from the Bible and make them yours.
This is your personal view. Is this part of what is proffered by the ministry in response to this, the Ministry of Education? Which one is this?
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of talk in the last 2 days on this. The Attorney General is saying now that there's time for national consultation. He's about 10 years late. The politicians are very slow to react. You've removed a lot of the situations in school where teachers now are afraid because of all types of laws enacted to discipline children. If you put a child to stand in a corner, that is a legal problem. If you put a child to stand with his or her hands in the air, that is a problem. You cannot administer punishment. So, teachers are under tremendous pressure. You throw your hands in the air. What else can we do? There's nothing else we can do. So if these are laws that you've put in place to, as you say, protect the children, and they turn out to be the way they are, then the state has to come forward and do something to try to solve the problem. Because the parents don't have no power again, and the teachers certainly don't have any power at all.
The Anthony Nelson is my guest. He is a broadcaster at CBC Radio in Barbados, and as you heard, he has mentioned that it has been in the public discussion area for the week. It's all they've been talking about in Barbados. There's one part of this, Tony, that I would like to go back to just for a moment, taking full note of everything you have said since then. But if you had a piling on of a number of school children on this one girl, it begs the question, or it begs at least for clarity, or at least some understanding as to what was the issue. What was the central issue here?
Well, the investigations are continuing into exactly what this issue was all about. One of the things we've noticed is that the girl never fought back. She never sought to defend herself for anything. It seemed as though it was a situation where it might have turned out to be a verbal encounter initially, and the girl, who apparently was the offending girl, got all her friends together and decided to, as we were saying, well, let me attack her. Let's wait until school is over and attack the girl. That's all well said and good. I think we've all gone to school. We've all been through this. But how were we able to deal with these issues? The level of violence that we saw administered to this young girl is something that we have not really experienced in our schools at all. The question lends itself: why are the young people so angry? Why they don't have any regard at all for life? Do they think before they act? Is anybody talking to them? What are the parents doing to pull them around? You want to tell me of 15, 16 girls, not one of them in that crowd could have said, listen, this is foolishness, we're doing foolishness and we need to stop? Not one of them, Rennie?
Your point is very well made. It raises two questions here. One, the relationship between the teacher and the students that somebody may have mentioned. We're planning to put a good cocktail on this girl, one. And two, it would be interesting to find out how the principal of the school and the Ministry of Education is treating with this outside of just the investigation you just mentioned that the AG has ordered.
Well, here's the issue here, and there are two dimensions. The schools have had issues, and they've protected the issues by hiding the stories. And the older schools in Barbados are very famous for that, because they don't want to damage their reputation. In the meantime, you've got a lot of atrocities committed in schools that are not brought out of the schools. They bring the parents in, they discuss it with the parents, they tell the parents, don't call the police because we don't want the child to get a criminal record. And you get sometimes an out-of-court settlement, or a couple of parents sit down and that's the end of the problem. That's what they claim. That is one of the big stories here. But the biggest story of all time here is how this young lady is ever going to get over this, how she's ever going to be able to recover.
Yes.
This goes into a part of her memory that will never, ever be erased. But then there's the third dimension, Rennie, and here's the third dimension. As a parent, if you've got a child, when that maternal instinct cuts in, you could find yourself, there's a very thin line that exists with a parent between sanity and insanity. And you could well find that girl father going down to the school and waiting by the sideline with a cutlass or gun and killing everybody. These are the things that these incidents cause. We have to be more careful. We have to pay more attention.
It is a very disturbing situation, Tony Nelson, CBC Radio in Barbados. We will continue that, but I do want to use the opportunity to ask you to expand the conversation, because while we have a school situation, violence in general has been on the increase in what is called Little England, the place of discipline and family. You did mention that the last generation of parents have failed their charge. The society itself in Barbados, How is the government reacting to the upsurge in violence? We're hearing some gun violence that hitherto was never heard of in Barbados.
The government has acted real carelessly, quite a joke. I mean, a lot of people think that way. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. The big question is where all these guns coming from. They're coming through the Interpol. They're coming through the Barbados Port Authority. The last commissioner of police tried hard to get onto it. You know, he got a lot of heat. A lot of people were moved from various positions in there. They were bringing in guns in all sorts of ways. You name it, they were doing it. They put a task force, a special task force in place at the British port to try to see if they could, stem this whole inflow of guns. But what is happening here is that you've got a lot of bigwigs in this country importing the guns and renting out the guns to these fellas. So these people are making a killing off of renting guns. Imagine a youngster goes to court. It was a couple of months ago he went to court. He wasn't actually going for a crime or anything. He was going to support one of his colleagues. And when he got to the door and was checked, the guy at the door, the bailiff at the door, actually found a brand new gun in his trousers that was never used, but that was fully loaded with ammunition. Now, a brand new gun that begs the question, where did he get the gun from? We know how the situation last week, where a guy took to school a gun magazine, and the school tried to hush the situation. Now we've got the Barbados Union of Teachers trying to get to the bottom of the story. This is because he was a white guy and he was going to one of the so-called top schools in Barbados. So you see where the problem is, Rennie. And one of the other issues that we tend not to pay attention to, you see all these radio stations with all these DJs who continue to play all this slack, awful, horrible music from Jamaica, who play these dancehall songs. I mean, and for some reason, the program managers of all these stations believe that the bottom line is all that matters. In the meantime, you have these young DJs on the radio who want training themselves, who are continuing to destroy the society. Well, if we want to turn this problem around, you need to send home all them jocks. You need to send them home.
Chickens coming home to roost.
You need to send them home because they are horrible. And you know what? You know what? I don't think the station managers listen. They don't listen. They don't seem to listen. It is a big issue. They don't even understand how powerful the radio is and the level of influence the radio has on young minds.
Or the responsibility they have when they are given. Yes, indeed.
That word does not apply to them at all. It is exceptionally poor in the region. And this is where a lot of, when you look at the videos, and I challenge you, Rennie, I challenge you. We are dealing with something at crop over right now that is very serious. There's something called Bashment Soca. It was introduced last year. It is 50% dancehall and 50% soca and whatever else is there. I challenge you to go on the internet, on YouTube, and have a look at the 2017 Bashment Soca that's coming out of Barbados and see how the young women are carrying themselves in those videos. It has just started. And if the authorities don't get to the bottom of this in a hurry, in the next 2 years, Rennie, I'll be talking to you from another planet.
Tony Nelson, I hear you, my brother. I hear you, and I feel your passion. Thank you so much for taking the time, Tony. Anthony Nelson from CBC Radio in Barbados. I truly appreciate you taking the time and giving us, an insight as to what the real problems are going on, not only with the school.